Hey guys, what's up? It's Pat here from Mountain Sledder. With me today is my friend Ryan from Hangfire Avalanche Training. Ryan, what are we doing today?
Well, we're here today to test out the range of many different transceivers out on the market today. We've got a whole bunch. We want to see what the actual range is of them and compare.
Yeah, we got a whole bag of transceivers to test out, you guys, and there's some in there that you probably have never even seen or heard of. So stick around, check it out.
That's good.
Okay.
Is that good? Oh,
That's
good.
great.
Oh, good.
That's great. Okay, so why is Avalanche transceiver range important? You might look on the box when you're buying a transceiver and think, oh, this one's 50 meters, this one's 70 meters. That's not a real big difference, but it is. And the reason is, depending on the size of the debris that you're searching for an avalanche victim, you might have to zigzag across that debris. So when you're looking for a difference of 50 meters to 70 meters, that extra distance, you're zigzagging across a lot of distance instead of going in a straight line. So let me just kind of show you how that works. So let's say this is our avalanche debris that we're going to be searching. When we're doing signal search, we can't be more than half the range of our transceiver from the edge of the avalanche debris. So let's say this is 100 meters across. Let's try a different pen. Let's say this is 100. Let's try a different pen. Good thing I brought 3 pens. Let's say our debris is 100 meters across and 200 meters long. When we're searching, we have to cover the entire debris field. So some avalanche transceiver manuals will tell you to do a pattern like this. Others will show you to do a pattern like this. But either way, we have to come within half of our range or our search strip width from the edges of the debris. And that way we make sure that we're not missing any areas, because that's kind of the worst thing you can do when you're doing a signal search in an avalanche rescue, is to miss a pocket of the debris and possibly have to go back. So depending on the width of the debris, you might have to do a lot of zigzagging. Let's say this is our buried avalanche victim, and this is 50 meters and this is 70 meters. With one transceiver, you're going to zigzag and pick up a signal and then go straight in. If you've got a avalanche transceiver with a shorter range or smaller search strip width, you might have to do significantly more zigzagging until you pick up a signal and go in. In this case, we might be walking through really deep snow that hasn't set up yet. It could be waist deep snow. And it's exhausting and time consuming to do that extra effort. So when you're looking at avalanche transceiver range, the difference between 50 meters and 70 meters is a little bit more significant than it would first appear.
To test the range of these transceivers, what we're going to do is take one transceiver on transmit down to the end of the field, lay it down, and keep that orientation the same while we test the search capabilities of all the rest of the transceivers. So for this test, we're going to use this Mammut Barryvox, and regardless of what brand we use, it shouldn't matter because they all send the exact same frequency out. And so we're going to use this to test all of these transceivers today.
Okay, so we got our measuring tape here. We got the transceiver. We're going down to the far end of the field. And then we're going to lay it down. Shouldn't
be too much around for interference. We're well away from power sources and buildings and things like that. So this should be a pretty good spot to do it.
Now, of course, we have the cameras rolling, so that's going to interfere a little bit with what we're doing. But for the test, we'll turn off all our phones, make sure they're packed away, and just try and minimize any type of interference that we can possibly do other than the cameras rolling. But something else to consider is magnets and basically anything that's metal can interfere with the ability of a transceiver to find the signal.
Yeah, I think the rule of thumb is about 20-25 centimeters while you're sending, transmitting, 50 centimeters or more while you're in search. But preferably all those other magnetic and electronic things are just off and away while you're doing that.
Yeah, basically just try and keep everything as far away and off as possible, especially in a real avalanche rescue scenario. So this one, thanks to Avalanche Safety Solutions, for this rental transceiver that we are going to use.
Just flipping it on here.
With dead batteries.
There's no batteries.
Well, it's early in the season, you guys. Okay, let's figure this out and we'll be right back after these messages.
Okay, so we got all the way to the end and we need new batteries in our test transceiver. So here he goes. Look at that hustle.
Okay, I did that in like 9.2 seconds. Really fast. So once I catch my breath,
We'll check our
I'll
batteries.
tell you more, but let that be a lesson to check your batteries in your transceiver before you go riding this season. And also, make sure you use good name brand batteries. The reason is because cheap batteries don't always conform to the very specific length of a good quality battery, and that can push your contacts out. So when you go to use other batteries, the contacts might be potentially loose. That's why the manufacturers recommend you use quality brands such as Duracell or Energizer in your transceivers.
There we go, it's firing up.
Hey, okay, we're working 85%.
Cool, so we've got our transmitting Mammut Barryvox here, and we're just gonna lay it down so the strongest signal that it emits is pointing in the direction we're gonna be coming from, just to give it the furthest possible range we're gonna get out of it. And then we're gonna stake it out with our measuring tape here. And we've got a 60-meter tape. So here we go.
So what we'll do, because we only have a 16-meter tape, not a 100-meter tape or something like that, is I think we should measure to about 40 meters and then draw a line in the snow. And then we know that that's a 40-meter mark, and then we can use the tape beyond that to measure the actual distance, because I'm hoping that none of these transceivers, which advertise a 50-meter search strip width, find it less than 40 meters. So remember, the bigger the search strip width, man, that's a mouthful. The bigger the search strip width, the better.
$38, $39. So we got 40.
40, okay.
Okay. So this point right here marks 70 meters from our transceiver, which is on the ground way over there. So it's neat to see how far that actually is visually. You know, you'd be out there and you sometimes just wonder how far really is that. So it's actually nice to see at this stage from right here over towards just a meter or two shy of that soccer goalpost is 70 meters, which is the maximum range that some of the makes and models out there advertise. So we've extended the line. So this point right here marks 80 meters away from our transceiver that's on the ground way over there. And I doubt we'll get anything going this far, so this should be a safe line to set as sort of a maximum measurement, and we'll work our way down. We've got all our transceivers here that we're going to be using laid out in order of the advertised range. So from 50 meters, 60 meters, and 70 meters. And we'll start off over with the 50-meter ones. Go one at a time, and we'll see how they turn out. Let's start with the Tracker 3, BCA Tracker 3. I'm going to flip it on. It's going to power up, 99% battery. Fired up just great. And now we're going to go into search. And I'm going to hold it just like I would. Okay, there. Now it's ready. Might have to figure something out here.
Yeah, it might be the interference from the.
I mean, I'm also.
Yeah, I mean, you're surrounded and stuff.
I think it's this.
You can hear it beeping. So obviously Ryan's got electronic interference from here. He's got an audio recorder inside his pocket. Camera is right here somewhere.
There's no other transceivers that are nearby that we should be picking up. So this is a perfect example of electronic interference.
Okay, so what we're going to do here, I guess, is get rid of some of this stuff so that it's not messing up the transceiver search. Because as you know, I mean, this thing's saying 12, 46, it's bouncing around, and our transceiver is like 80 meters that way. So that's a good lesson about electronic interference. So we'll get rid of some of that stuff, try again.
We got rid of a few of the electronics that were on me. We can't go Hollywood and do this test apparently, so I had to lose the camera, move a mic. Let's go to search now and see how this goes. So far, so good. So we're at 80 meters out. Normally in real life, when you're doing your signal search, you're moving fast, right? Time is of the essence. You can cover ground quickly. But to give the transceivers the best chance at picking up the signal, from as far out as possible, we're just going to take our time and go slow here today. So we just passed 80 meters. Approaching 70. 60, right there. That's 50. Okay, let's keep going.
You did turn that transceiver on, right?
I think so. I think so. Just got a signal and it's telling me 50 and now it's saying 46. So right at the outer edge of it, it's in and out a little bit, but it's coming and going right at here. And this is actually our 40 meter line that I'm standing on right now for the Tracker 3. And that's when we first started picking it up. So I would say 40 meters for the Tracker 3.
Okay, next up on the 50 meter search strip width category, we have the Backcountry Access Tracker S. So this is sort of their lowest end of the line model. So I'm in SE mode, which is search mode. And here we go. I got nothing yet so far. All it's really doing is flashing SE at me. It's not really beeping at me or anything. It's just saying SE. So I'm going to slowly walk here, and we're at 70 meters now. So far nothing. So that's 60 meters, yeah. Okay, I'm going to slow down a little bit because probably getting about that range.
Sorry, that was 50.
That's 50 we passed already.
Now at 40 again.
Yeah, here we go. So if you can see on the ground down here, we're right at the Tracker 3. Nothing yet. I'm starting to question if I'm doing anything right or wrong here. Oh, okay, we got some action here. So just started flashing some numbers there. It was flashing 55, 60 something. Now we're at 34. So that's about the edge of our reception. And all the transceivers are going to do this when they reach the very edge of the reception. Numbers are going to bounce around a little bit. If you're doing a real search, it's best to just keep going in that same direction to let it lock in a little bit more. But basically, we saw some numbers there. We bounced around, and this is where we hit. And we didn't even make a line. We didn't really think anyone would be less than 40 meters. But so the BCA Tracker S, we're like, I don't know, Ryan, what would you say? I'd say we're at about 34 meters.
Yeah.
From the transceiver that we're looking for.
Yeah, about 34. Are we still getting the signal?
No. Oh, there we go. It said 55. Yeah, we're right on the edge here. So
okay. We're
going to set that down there on top of the green disc and turn it off.
There's the 2.
Here's our Tracker 3, and this is our 40 meter mark.
Cool.
Back we go.
Next up, we've got the Tracker 4. So this is the latest one from BCA. We're gonna fire it up, just make sure the batteries are good. 99%. And I'll switch to search. And we'll head on over to our 80 meter mark. I got a reading. It's telling me 55 meters. Right around the same area as I first picked it up with the Tracker 3. So this will be the maximum range of the Tracker 4 right here. We are probably 39 meters here, just below the 40 here.
Okay, so that's it. We've done the 3 BCA transceivers. So far we've noticed that our actual range that we found is significantly less than what's on the box. Now, don't just jump to any conclusions and say that the BCA ones are shorter than what they say. We're gonna see that with probably the rest of them. The reason is because the transceiver that's sending down there, depending on the orientation of it and how those flux lines are sent out with the signal, that can affect the ultimate actual range. So for the purpose of this little comparison that we're doing, it's more important, or the results are more valid in terms of like how they are in relation to one another rather than the actual number that we found. Although it is a little bit surprising to see that the Tracker S, for example, our range that we found was about 34 meters and their advertised number is 50. So that's a pretty significant difference, but we'll probably see variations between all of them as we go. Okay, so next up we got this transceiver, which you may not have even heard of before. This brand ARVA, but basically they're a family-owned company from France, and they've been making Avalanche transceivers for about 30 years. We're not that familiar with them here in North America, but they're breaking into North America, or wanting to, and anyways, they sent us a couple of transceivers to try out and play around with. So this is one of them. This is the Evo5. This is kind of like their more lower end model, and it's got a range of 50 meters, or a search strip width, I should say, of 50 meters. So let's give it a shot. 70 already.
6.
Hey, this is good exercise.
Yeah.
We should do this more often, Ryan. Okay, we're coming up on 50 meters here, so hopefully we get a signal shortly. Nothing so far though. But we're soon to find out if some of the other transceivers are around the same as the BCA. And no, they're not. So that's kind of interesting. So I'm starting to get a reading here. It's bouncing around between 42 and 45 meters, it's telling me.
And
that's about exactly where we're actually at.
Yeah.
I'd say I'm halfway between the 40 and 50. So I'd say we're at about 45 meters from the transceiver. And that's exactly what it's telling me. So, I mean, that's quite interesting, because this one is pretty accurate. And we didn't really see that with the BCA transceivers. So we'll keep going. We're gonna mark this one and keep going.
Okay, next up we've got this new one from ORTOVOX, the DIRACT voice. This is my very first time touching one of these and flipping it on, and it's supposed to give you voice prompts, which is something totally new. So let's power it up. Power on back here. When you flip it on, it'll be into search mode. So you just push this back down and you're in transmit.
Send activated.
There we go. Now if we want to go to search, we simply pop this up. And let's see what it tells us. Gives us a drawing of our search strips.
Your search strips and look out.
Did you hear that? Run in 50 meter search strips and look out. So let's do that.
Look out, Ryan.
Let's do that.
And one thing I noticed, Ryan, about this transceiver is that if it detects interference, it'll automatically show you a smaller number to on the screen here. If we have a look, if you can see that, it's saying,
detecting some cameras. Yeah.
See, it's saying 50 meter search strip, so it kind of shows you a little picture of what you're supposed to do. If it gets interference, I've seen this number go down to, also interference, and it'll go down to 20 meters. So that indicates that if there's interference, you should narrow your search strip width, which is a good practice for all transceivers, but they actually tell you on this one to do that, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, interference detected, so narrow your strips. Yeah. Perfect. Okay, we are at 80 meters. We're doing our search strips. Let's just walk. I like how it says look out too, because often you just get glued to staring at your transceiver.
Yeah, right, and you should be looking for surface clues and that sort of thing,
Exactly. Right? You actually don't really need to be staring at your transceiver till it makes some noise, right? You're looking around. Okay, that was 60 meters we just passed. Here we are at 50 meters, 40.
Oh boy, here comes the Tracker S.
Just past it.
Uh-oh.
Nothing so far.
Run straight.
Okay, we just picked something up. It says 35 meters, and it told me to run straight, and I've got an arrow.
So, okay, so it's saying 35 meters.
It told me 35 meters is where I've picked them up, walking pretty slowly.
Where are we? We didn't even measure this far,
We are
did we?
quite a ways down in actual distance. I've got to guess that that was 40.
Turn around.
I'd say we're like 25 meters,
Yeah.
and it's saying 35.
Turn around.
You
Yeah.
might even be able to see on this tiny little screen somewhere up there,
Turn around.
the transceiver. Okay, well, 25.
I'm going to shut this off and leave it here. It's off, tells me my battery percentage and when my next service is due. Tells you that each time as you shut it off. And you can put it down. Okay, so that's the weakest range so far out of the DIRACT voice from ORTOVOX.
Okay, so we're now moved into the 60-meter search strip width range of transceivers. And Aura is here to help. So in this range, the 60-meter range, we have basically 4 transceivers, but it's really 2 transceivers. So we've got the Black Diamond Recon and the Black Diamond Guide. And these basically are they're basically rebranded versions of these. Aura, you're so helpful.
You're too helpful. Too helpful.
So basically, PIEPS creates all these, and then Black Diamond, which owns PIEPS, uses these. So we're going to test them all, see if there's any difference. There shouldn't be. They should all be 60 meters. And yeah, basically the only difference is the color of them. Okay, so we'll do the Black Diamond Recon BT first. So this is the sort of lower end of the 2 different Black Diamond transceivers. Okay, here we go.
80 meters.
80 meters. Oh, I forgot my marking disc. We're gonna have to run back and grab that. So that was 60 meters we passed. No, 70 meters.
60.
This is 60 meters. Okay, so we should be getting close, hopefully, to where we start to pick up a signal. Okay, it's our 50-meter mark. Nothing yet. Okay, what do we got? So it's bouncing around. We're getting between 53 and 55 meters on the display. That was our 50-meter mark, so I would say that we're at about 48 meters in actuality. So pretty close to what it's telling me on there, but not quite at the 60-meter range as it says on the box. So that's the Black Diamond Recon BT.
Our next one is the Black Diamond Guide BT. So we're gonna try this one out. Away we go. Let's fire it on, push the lock in, slide it up. Check our battery life. Looks good. Full charge. And we'll go to search. And remember to bring our disc for marking. We're at 70. Approaching 60. There's 60. Here is 50. There we go. This one also vibrates when it first picks up a signal. That's interesting. And it's saying 54 meters right here. So very similar to the other Black Diamond that we just tested. Flashing anywhere between 53 and 58 meters, it says on the screen. And we're probably at about, what, 47, 46 meters actual distance. So we'll turn it off and we'll leave it here.
Okay, so on to PIEPS. So like we said, these are the guys that developed the black diamond transceivers. A lot of people are aware that there was a voluntary product correction, I believe is what they call it, with their older style transceivers. So the PIEPS DSP Sport and PIEPS DSP Pro that they sold for a number of years. They sold quite a lot of them. But the problem was basically the locking mechanism that prevented the transceiver from going into search or off modes, basically bumping it out of send mode potentially. There was a couple of cases where allegedly that locking mechanism broke, the user wasn't aware of it, and it resulted in some negative consequences. So basically the way they handled it wasn't ideal, and so the name suffered a little bit from that. But otherwise, these transceivers are not subject to any of those issues that the other ones had. And they're great transceivers, and I guess that's about it. That's all there's to say about it. So yeah, they make the two transceivers, the Powder BT and the Pro BT transceivers. So we'll start with the Powder BT. That is the lower end transceiver. The Pro BT is sort of their higher end, more expensive, more featured transceiver. So here we go, PIEPS Powder BT. Really burning the calories off today, hey Ryan?
We sure are. Does this thing also have a powder finder by chance?
No powder finders, unfortunately. For that you have to look at the weather and weather reporting stations and things like that, or just know where to go.
We're approaching,
what do we got? We're coming up on 50 here.
50 meters right
Okay,
here.
this is our 50 meter line. So if this one is in line with the similar black diamond transceivers that we've seen here, very shortly we should be getting a beep of some sort. And there it is, hey!
Right on the other ones.
So yep, same range basically. This is, again, that's 50 meters there, so I'd say this is about 48. And that's in line with what we've seen from the others, so.
And again, there's a view of the goalpost.
Okay, PIEPS Pro BT 60 meter search strip width. Here we go. 80, 70, I think, I don't know.
Yep.
60, 50. Uh-oh.
Come on now.
Come on, baby. Give me the good stuff. Am I in the right mode? Does it have battery life? Yes, it does. Interesting. Oh! Yeah, we got a little buzz. Okay, now, disclaimer. We should probably exclude this from the entire thing, because I just remembered that this is a pre-production sample that was sent to us. It's not actually a production one that you would buy in a store. So we're gonna have to exclude this as an outlier from why did it not receive at about the same distance. And the software is probably old on it too,
Right.
which can be updated through Bluetooth if you own one of these transceivers. So just ignore this result, but hey, we did it and it was fun.
It was fun. Okay, back we go.
Okay, again. Okay, Ryan, what do we got? We're down to the 70 meter section here.
We're up to the 70 meter section. We've got the ARVA Neo Pro right here. So we're gonna flip this thing on into search, power it on, firing up. Good, about 85% battery life, and we're off. We are at 80 meters. Good, 70 meters. I just got a beep at 74. And another one. 70, then one at 67, one at 68, one at 70. So outer range, I guess. And that's just before our 70 meter mark. Sorry, 60 meter mark. Yeah, that's right. Consistent signal now for sure. So we can use this point, which is still quite a ways, about 10 meters further than any of the others. And so we'll call that about 59 meters for this one where we got a consistent signal here.
And what's the number you have on there?
It is telling me right here 66, 67, 62, 67. So flashing a little bit all over the place. Again, we're right at the outer range. So as you get closer, those numbers start to tighten up and be more consistent.
Ryan, what are you doing?
I'm changing the batteries because we're short one set. And we need to put some in this Barryvox first.
Because we're bad sledders and we didn't check our batteries before we left the house?
That's true. We didn't go through a full pre-trip checklist. Okay, ready. So we've got the Barryvox by Mammut here, and the range on this is supposed to be 70 meters as well, just like that Neo Pro we just tried out. So let's see how it does. Fire it up. All right, 95%. Good to go. All systems check. Into search mode. Let's go. Okay, 80 meters. $70 meters. I got a beep. I got a number at 73, 69. Consistent. Staying with me. Oh, there it left for a sec and now it's back. That's pretty good. That's the furthest so far. What are we at? 80, 70. We're probably at about 63 meters here of actual, and it's on the reading it's giving me 70 meters. So that's the furthest so far by about 4 or 5 meters.
From where we are with the Barryvox, and that's the ARVA Neo Pro, and that's all the rest of them, and then the one we're looking for is way up there.
Okay, one more to go. Last one we're doing today is the Mammut Barryvox S. So it's kind of the pro model from Mammut, which has a whole bunch of back-end analog features and stuff like that if you're really getting into the advanced world of search and rescue. But it also can work just the same way as the Barryvox if you want it to. So we're gonna, in simple mode, we're gonna fire it up. 90% battery life, also supposed to have a range of 70 meters. Let's go see. 80 meters. 70 meters.
There's our Barryvox behind you there. So we must be getting close.
So I can hear the analog faint beep, and there's the signal. Okay. So with this one, it allows you to hear the analog tone, and you actually can faintly hear it before it digitally displays the signal. So it let us go a few steps further, actually a little further than the Neo Pro let us go. And we are reading 62, 61, about 61 meters, and we are at 80, 70, 60, 50, probably at about 57 meters right here. And now it's actually showing me 56 and 57 meters on the display. So pretty accurate in terms of what the actual distance is to what it's showing us. We walked a little bit further than we did its counterpart there, just the Barryvox. Yeah, so we'll leave this one here. All right.
Okay, so that's our test. That was kind of fun to do. Got our exercise in.
Yeah, sure did.
Learned a couple things. Here's the results. So we had, a little bit of variety between our results, or a little variability between what was the actual range that we found in our test versus what is the advertised range. As you can see, for most of them, or all of them, in fact, it was a little bit less than what's claimed or advertised. And in some cases, quite a bit less. So that's kind of interesting that some would be different than others. So what did you take home from this, Ryan?
Yeah, I think it kind of matched up what we see a lot in range checks in our Avalanche courses, but oftentimes you're going to be getting sort of shorter range with some of the trackers that are out there. I was a little surprised. I thought we'd get a little better range out of the new DIRACT voice. I'd like to play around with that a little more. But generally it's always a little less than that actual advertised distance. That the reading seems to be just a little less in real life. We oriented the transmitting transceiver the way we figured was the most optimal, but we could be wrong. You know, there could be a way that they test them which is a little bit differently than how we had it laid out, but we had it even for all of them, so at least it was a controlled test. You know, the importance of making sure your search strips are actually wide enough and that you are overlapping enough so you don't miss anybody, I think is a good takeaway for me as well. And quite a difference. I mean, actual range of the Barryvox, you know, compared to Tracker S, you know, was almost double. So that's a lot. You know, if you're confident that you've got a range in that high 50s, low 60s range, you can be confident to really spread out those search strips a little more, cover ground faster, and maybe pick up a signal a lot sooner.
Yeah, and for me, that's kind of what I took home too, was that, you know, the importance of knowing what is the distance that your transceiver can find another transceiver visually. Because, you know, if we're doing an actual avalanche rescue, you know, no one's going to pull out a tape measure and see. So it's good to practice with any transceiver that you have, regardless what brand it is. But good to know an estimate of what that distance is. Keep in mind that if you're going near the edge of the debris, that you should stay at least, or come within at least half of the range of your transceiver. And make sure, like you said, Ryan, that you're overlapping and covering all the area so you're not backtracking and wasting time.
That's right. You don't want to question, oh, was I too spread apart? Did I really miss an area, right? You want to go through it once, get your signal, and go from there.
Absolutely. So that's it, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for more. Please give us a like if you liked it. Please give us a comment. What kind of avalanche transceiver do you guys use? And, you know, hit that little bell so you get a notification every time we post a new video. So I want to say thanks to Ryan. If you guys are in the market, you're new to sledding in the mountains, or you're finally decided, hey, this is the year I get my avalanche training, check out Hangfire Avalanche Training.
Thanks. Thanks for having us.
See you guys next time. Boom. Nailed it.